Welcome to Threads of Enlightenment, your journey into personal growth. The splendor of any decision is after you've made it. All that remains to be seen are its consequences. My name is Ken Primus. I am your host. Here at Threads of Enlightenment, we talk about the principles of self-development and personal growth. By having conversation with people who have walked through their journey of personal growth. We believe that everyone at some point in their life will have to deal with one or more of these principles to have the privilege of focusing on their self-development as humans. These principles, when applied, can help you to become the best self possible. Of Threads of Enlightenment. As usual, we welcome our guests here at Threads of Enlightenment, and we usually love to hear the stories that they have created. Such wonderful stuff, because I believe that we are all creators. But the important thing for us here at Threads of Enlightenment is to go back and find out how did they do it. And so I want to welcome our guest today. Vivi, introduce yourself to the family and tell us about what you have created.
Hi, Ken. It's my pleasure to be here. My name is Vivi, and currently right now I am a nomadic bachelor who live in Canada. So my life path has been quite interesting because I was born in Vietnam. But at the age of 17, I came to the US as an exchange student, and I love the country very much. So I continued my study after my high school. Then I obtained my engineering degree from Texas A&M, chemical engineering degree from Texas A&M. Why did I go for engineering and now I'm the nomad? That's the story I'm here to tell. Because it's not a very unusual story that normally people would see an Asian Vietnamese girl from being an engineer to a nomad. And I have people keep telling me that all the time. And so back then, my life was all about corporate life, people pleasing, obtaining status. It was a very materialistic life. Yeah. So when I was in the US, I did not even know what chemical engineering is, to be honest. I went for the major because of the hype, because I was Asian, because I know you could be like a lawyer, doctor, or engineer. Yeah. Right? And majority people go for engineers, especially who love science like me. I love chemistry and math. Yeah. And so when I sit down with a career advisor, they're like, well, if you love science, like, do you want to make a good money when you graduate? I was like, yeah. So he was like, why don't you major in chemical engineering? And I had no clue what it was, actually. I was like, so in Texas A&M, they had a lot of sponsor from petroleum companies like Shell, Exxon, Chevron. So so for the major of chemical engineering, it's very much more related to petroleum engineering.
Mm-hmm.
Like later on when I graduated, I was like, oh no, it's very broad. Like it can be applied into like so many different sectors, like in many different industries.
Mm-hmm.
But by the time I graduated, I realized this is not for me. I don't want to kill the environment. I don't want to work for petroleum engineers. So I was like, well, I'm already into it. So I have to finish.
Yeah.
So I was glad that I didn't go for petroleum engineer. I didn't work for petroleum companies because like it was not my thing.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of struggle finding jobs, but luckily I was able to find a research position at MIT. So I was working there for 2 years on the research project, and that kind of inspired me to continue to my grad school to do biomedical engineering. And now I was like, as a biomedical engineer, I feel like a lot better for saving people's lives and creating drugs and prototype medical devices. And that was my interest at the time. And then in grad school, I realized that I really enjoy being creative and coming up like different ideas and prototypes was like my big interest at the time. So after I graduated from Cornell, I continue on to that engineering track. I was like, well, this biomedical engineering is a lot better than chemical engineering. So I ended up working for the top hospitals in the US. And that's where everything started to crumble down for me because the job that I was working on was not really in my expertise or not really in my interest, but I did my job to learn about it. It's still within biomedical engineering sector, but but it's more related to clinical engineering because it's in the hospital, and it wasn't a lot of research or research and product development, but more about IT, which I didn't like computers so much, so I didn't really enjoy the job, and the work environment was really hassle. So I felt a lot of pressure, and my boss constantly harassed me, so I didn't really enjoy working there. But at that time, I was on an H-1B visa, so I had the threat hanging on my head that if I don't stick with the job, I would when I lose my employment, I would have to be deported back to Vietnam. And at the time, I already stayed there since like already 12 years. So I already kind of considered this place like my home. I was like, I want to settle here. I want to live here. And so when it got so intense, the pressure felt so intense. I don't know if you ever been to hospital environment, but it's a very stressful environment. It's like constantly on the rush, and very highly demanding. So definitely, like, I don't know how the healthcare worker can handle the pandemic. To be honest with you, I was not even like nurses. I work closely with them, but just like being the engineer on the hospital, like you already can already feel like a lot of pressure, and it was a really big hospitals as well. So I just got really stressed at that time, and I knew that I would lose a job. So that was when the pressure getting heavier and heavier on me, and I was like, I don't know if I could continue hanging on to this anymore. And then at that time, I started to question a lot about my life. When I started feeling this pressure, like, why did I have to do this myself? Like, why did I continue? Why did I have to continue doing something that I hate so much? And how far could I still continue doing this? And I didn't feel like it was myself. I lost so much confidence and so much of self-esteem that I felt like I completely lost myself. So I didn't know who I was at that time anymore. And I was like, why did I have to do this? And I question, like, what is the meaning of my life right now? Because I feel like a living hell. It's like, I feel like I didn't have the motivation to get up in the morning and going to work. I feel like carrying rocks on my shoulder, like big chunk of rocks on my shoulder. And I had severe back pain at that time. I didn't know that it was related to stress.
Oh yeah.
And to the work, but it makes sense because it feels like carrying a rock, and it was like very tense on your shoulder. Now that I learned about energy healing, I understood why, like, having like all the stressful emotion can have the effect on your physical body, and that's why it manifests illnesses. And at that time, I didn't understand. I just, like, it's too much stress, and I have, like, my back is constantly in pain, and I drank so much coffee and sugar treats, just to carry through the day, just to forget everything, and just, like, maybe the sugar gonna give me the energy to, like, carry through it, and I need the caffeine to do with the job. So eventually I just couldn't handle it anymore, and I did lose the job, and I did have to go back to Vietnam. And at that point, I was facing 3 different options. Now, I could stay in the US illegally, I could get a fake marriage, or I had to be deported and go back to Vietnam and face the fear of shame of losing everything. Because, like, in Asian culture, it's like, if you go back home with nothing,
Wow.
Like, because my family already invested so much in me, and I have so much hope about my future, like having, like, a good solid future in the US. And so I couldn't bear the fact that I have to go back and face them with the disappointment. So it was very heavy for me, and of course it was very difficult choice, and I didn't know what to do. But when I sit with it, and I look at the 3 options, like, being in the US felt like it didn't give me the freedom that I needed, even though if I could stay there legally or just get married to someone else, I wouldn't have the freedom to be myself. And at that time, I felt like I lost so much of who I am. Like, I didn't feel like that was the options for me. And going back to Vietnam, even though I have to face this fear of shame, but it's like there's a sense of hope around it. And I didn't see any hope staying in the US. And during that time, I stumbled upon the Alchemist book. Someone was recommended to me, and I keep hearing about it. It's your intuition or the synchronicity that kind of got you. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna read that book. And it was a shock book. It was very easy to read. That was my first time actually come across alchemy. But at that time, I didn't understand alchemy. I was still very like earthly, I'm the grounded material world. I know nothing about spiritual world, okay? So the only thing I could get from that book was about traveling. Now, I have always loved to travel. Like, the first thing that when it came to me, the first emotion that came to me when I came to the US was excitement. And I was only 17 at that time, and I was traveling alone by myself. I was not even scared because I was just so excited to discover a new place, to see different people and different culture. And so, but like through the process of living there, chasing all the status and try to make my family proud, I kind of forgot that passion, like how it make me feel like when I get to travel. So after I read that book, The Alchemist, it kind of reignited my passion for traveling. Then, and I was like, I already lost my job at the time, and I was kind of wondering, like, what the hell should I do with my life right now? I already came to the bottom. I lost everything. I didn't have anything. I sold everything in the US, and I had to go back home, literally with just like a suitcase of clothes. I had nothing. So, but at that point, I'm like, okay, what's next?
Yeah.
what's next? So I sit and I just kind of ask myself, what is it I really want to do?
Yeah.
Now that I have all the time in the world, now that I kind of already come to the blank slate, and the answer came to me was traveling.
Yeah.
And so ever since, I just use that passion as a compass for me. Like whenever I feel restricted, I go and I travel, because I didn't feel very free being close to my family in Vietnam as well. So whenever I get a chance, I take a solo trip to travel around Asia.
Yeah.
And they didn't understand, like, why do you travel solo? Like, they always ask me, like, are you not lonely when you travel solo? I was like, no, I make a lot of friends on my travel, and I love it so much. But they, my family is very conservative.
Yeah.
And they're very traditional. You know how Asian people, they always travel together in a group or in a family.
Yeah.
You barely see people travel along. So occasionally, like whenever I go to hostels or hotels or restaurants, they always stare at me and they always ask me, like, you go by yourself? At that time it was the only outlet for me.
Yeah.
To kind of escape my reality, because I couldn't stand facing the shame of failure, being a failure at that time.
Yeah. Shame is an interesting thing, isn't it? As far as it was one of the demons that I had to deal with. You had mentioned my professional life was in healthcare. I worked for HMOs. I used to help HMOs get their accreditation and stuff like that. Then I went into the skilled nursing facility, and I dealt a lot with the hospital. And I am very familiar with the stress of healthcare, even at a skilled nursing facility. I remember when COVID entered into our world, that the madness and the, oh my Lord, I can't even explain to you, because we had to find ways to protect the population that was there, and it's very, very stressful. Everyone was losing their minds and trying to protect. So I get what you're saying, and I know your life that you describe, Vivi, is maybe about a good 70% of America, of people in the world, because we are programmed to chase the materials aspect of life. We are not programmed to go after the spiritual, to tap into the spiritual, even in the corporate sense. And I think that corporations are losing out a lot of value by just focusing on the material aspect, because I think if they bring in the spiritual aspect of it, meaning making people aware of who they are, the person, I think the production would be much better than what they're having. And also you would have happier people, because you were talking about being a state of just misery. You went right past unhappiness and went straight into misery as you were existing in this space that no longer brought you any kind of joy at all. And I love the fact that you sat down with yourself, because this is where you need to begin, right here, when you begin to sit down with yourself and ask yourself those questions, like you were saying. Why am I here? What makes me happy? All of these things. We began to deprogram ourselves from our previous training, so that we can then create this new world like you just started to create, about traveling. So talk to me about, okay, you started traveling. How did you begin to now dig a little deeper into your self-development, and what were some of those, I call them, I hate to say demons, but that's pretty much what it is. It's usually the thought pattern that we have. We have these particular thoughts on a loop. a reel to reel in my days. I'm giving away my age. It will just play over and over, and then Vivi, they become monsters in our life, in our thought life. We began to manifest sicknesses in our bodies. People don't understand the process of a thought. It is tied into the emotion, and once it lands in the emotion, and we create this overwhelming energy that is tied into the emotion, it lodges into the body, and then it manifests into sicknesses and disease and so forth. Talk to us about some of those demons that you had to deal with as you began to learn about who you are, even in your travels.
Yeah. So as I would say there's fears, so many fears that I faced along the way. So the first one is like the fear of shame. And during that stage, I'm going to go to a little bit later about alchemy, like to explain, to tie the whole picture together.
Oh, we'll get there.
But so when I left the US, that was the fear of shame that I was facing. And the fear of failure as well. Because I also fear of unknown. Because I didn't know what I would be going to. Like I didn't know what future was going to be next from here. But as far as I know, the only thing that I knew at that time was just following my passion, just following my heart, because that's the main key thing that I learned from the book, The Alchemist.
Yeah.
So that has guided me along the way during that stage. So what got me into the spiritual path? Probably my van life. So when I left the US, went back to Vietnam, I decided I didn't want to stay there. I didn't want to live there. I didn't feel like free or be myself. I couldn't really fit in with the culture anymore. I didn't really want to be so close to my family as much.
Yeah.
So I applied for my immigration to Canada. A friend actually gave me the idea because I was like, if I don't want to stay here in Vietnam, like, I kind of didn't want to go back to the US. What do I want to do? But I kind of missed the lifestyle back there. I kind of missed the Western culture.
Yeah.
So my friend suggested to me, my college friend suggested to me, I was like, why don't you go to Canada? Like they have open immigration right now. And literally at that time, they just kickstarted a new train for immigration, and they open they make it a lot easier for people to come to, like educated people to come to Canada. I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So I checked out whether I was qualified, and I was. And for me, it was a lot faster. Apparently, I didn't know that immigration would take that long. Like normally you have to wait for like several years. For me, it took like only 1.5 years, and it's already long for me, but it's generally that's fairly short for immigration. So during that time, like before I come to Canada, I was like, what do I want to do when I get to Canada? You know, well, I was invited to come here. So I tried to envision like what kind of lifestyle would I do? What kind of jobs would I like to get? And so I was researching on YouTube. I came across tiny houses, and it started to get pretty big, like this tiny house movement.
Yeah.
Then I come across van life.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's very interesting. And I was like, that would be a lifestyle that allow me to travel everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's low cost.
Yeah.
And because I have a dog with me, so I'm like, it's perfect. And at that time, I was like, well, maybe if I don't work too much, I didn't plan on going back to the corporate life anymore. Yeah. I wanted to go into a completely new, different direction. I'm like, I'm not going back to that lifestyle anymore. It felt like hell for me.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, maybe van life would give me opportunities to learn about myself. Because I wouldn't have to work so much, like full time, in order to afford such a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Right? So I could just work part time and maybe go travel and spend time on my passion and kind of do what I love, just feel like what interests me at the time.
Yeah.
And so that's what van life really afforded me at that time. And so I did. I was like, whatever I'm interested in, I'm going to go and do it.
Yeah.
So I applied to work for a barista at Starbucks because I love coffee. It was like an odd job for me. Okay, let's see how I like it.
Yeah.
Because I was like, maybe I would have a coffee house one day, you know? So let's just apply and work for a barista. So it was like, and my mom kept calling me and she was like, really serious that you're gonna work as a barista at Starbucks? Like, you're not going back to be an engineer anymore? I was like, no, I'm not. No more, Mom. No more working in the corporate world. So I kind of enjoyed the job, but then I got an offer to work for Nespresso as brand ambassador, as the associate for them, like sales associate for them.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I love Nespresso coffee. Let's try it out. And I love talking to people.
Yeah.
So it's like, I was like, whatever I'm curious about myself, like whatever that interests me, I do it. Like, because it gives me a chance to see how interact in different environment of whatever that interests me at that time. So I learned so much about people skills through the sales position, and because I love coffee so much, so I'm already knowledgeable about coffee. So people just love it. Like people just come and buy coffee machines for me, and I'm just like, this job is so easy and it's so much fun. And I just like, sometimes I just talk to people and give them coffee and chats with them. And like, I did not even have any sales skill.
Yeah. Yeah. But you're doing something you love though. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, if you do something that you love, it's just going to flow and people are going to sense it. And that's the first thing that I learned about following your passion, right? Just do what you love. And that's how you got very successful at your job. And I was. And so after more than a year doing that, it's kind of get wear out for me. It's a great job. Like, it helped me to afford my van life, and it was flexible, so I could go and travel. So during that time, I kind of travel part-time, work part-time. I work full-time during the winter time. I couldn't travel during the winter time, so that's where I get to earn all the money, and then I travel in the spring and summer. So I like during those travel time, I get to go to some very remote places in BC, and I really get to enjoy the van life.
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of solitude time in nature, and I didn't know how healing that was for me. So that was the time I started to get a sense like a different person. Like when you go into nature, like something just kind of magical happen. It's a very natural healing process.
Yes.
That's kind of like peel the layers in you and get you more, because you're so much more grounded, so much more in tune with the earth and nature and surrounding.
Yes, I agree.
So at that time, I was like, words just started come out of me. I don't know how. Like, it's just like in my head. I never really liked writing. I was an engineer. I was like, if I ever have any writing assignment, I hand it to someone else to do. You know, I was like, how is it that poems came out of me? And I was really stunned. At that time, I just started writing poems just very naturally. So then I get to understand. I learned a little bit about meditation. And at the time, I was kind of like, wow, but I come to Canada because I wanted to have a different life, and I didn't see what the job that I had was fun, but I didn't see the growth in that position. I didn't see the growth in that job. So I'm like, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to have a different lifestyle in Canada, but I haven't really achieved that. And so I enrolled into some personal development course. Get to understand about my vision. I learned about meditation. So I had a lot, because my job wasn't very stressful. So I had a lot of time spending with myself, you know. So I get to understand what I love. I get to learn different things about personal growth. And that's how spirituality started to come to me. And at that time, I like after a year living in the van, I met some people that one particular person actually could introduce spirituality to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I started, I thought it was a woo-woo. I thought it was superstitious. I was like, if you ever told me about feng shui, I never believe in feng shui.
Yeah.
It's like, it doesn't really make sense. And they started talking about the moon, how the moon actually affects your mood. I was like, no, I never feel like it's actually affect my mood. Like I never pay attention to any of that. I thought all of that was just like superstition.
Yeah.
So, but when I got into a relationship, kind of knocked me out of my head.
Yeah.
And that it was a relationship that kind of got me question a lot about my self-worth.
Mm-hmm.
Then I enrolled into, I couldn't handle it anymore. I was like, why do I have to like keep going back to this kind of relationship? Like, why do I have to endure this type of relationship like over and over again in my life? So I enrolled into a coaching program.
Mm-hmm.
This is where I learned about shamanism.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where I understand, all the things that people tell me about spirituality is actually not on the woo-woo. Like, now I understand the logic behind it.
Yes.
And I was like, when that door opened up for me, I just couldn't stop learning about spirituality.
Yeah.
Like, I love shamanism so much that I was like, I did everything that I could. I read a lot of books about spirituality, and like the conversation with God, the power of now, like or like the Kabbalion. So the Kabbalion has got to be like, oh my God, like if you understand it, like you understand the key of the universe and how everything works. Before that, I read The Secret. But I really understand that was spirituality. Like, to me, it was more about like visioning, the law of attraction. I didn't really understand how it works actually until I understand shamanism. Until I understand the 7 law, the 7 Hermetic laws. Then, like, everything just like, oh my God, like
light bulb moment.
Yes. Yes. And so I started to exercise a lot about getting out of my comfort zone to overcome my fears. And that was the time I was going to the coaching program because I wanted to get over the fear of not being good enough, because that's what got me stuck going back to similar relationships. That was very, very hurtful. And so after I finished the coaching program after I finished the job in Vancouver, like selling an espresso machine, it was around the same time the pandemic hit. And so they have to lay off everyone temporarily. And then they opened back again in the summer. So during that time, I was questioning that, what do I want to do now? Like, I don't have a job anymore. Like, pandemic hits, like, what you're going to do? You cannot rely on the government forever. And I didn't feel good relying on the government. I don't know if is it going to be sketchy, even though they pay? I don't know. It wasn't, I wanted to be independent. So I decided that I'm just going to have a trip of my life. And I decided that I'm just going to travel across Canada. I was going from Vancouver to, I don't know wherever I'm going to be until I travel from somewhere until my plane was open. I don't know where I'm going to stay. I don't know where I'm going to end up. I'm just going to go and just follow that compass that I love traveling. And I had a very strong intuition that I needed to leave this place. I needed to go somewhere. I needed to go toward the east side of Canada. So along the way, I documented my my trip
Mm-hmm.
to go across Canada, because I have lived in the van for like more than 2.5 years, but I only travel around BC. I never get to see the rest of
The rest of
Canada.
it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it turned out to be like, even I was traveling during pandemic, but it turned out to be like the best year of my life in Canada.
Wow.
So many things happened to me, and it was just like, I just have the sense that I need to do something, just follow that path, and things gonna open up, and I'll learn something, or I'll get to know myself more.
But I
And
think
it did.
let's take a look at it, because you started practicing a lot of the principles within spirituality even before you got into it.
Yeah.
Connecting with nature is a part of it when you get into meditation. And you mentioned about solitude. In my one of the chapters in my book that I wrote about was solitude, the importance of solitude, because in
Mm-hmm.
my mind, that is the place where you begin to internalize and dig deep, but you also, it's a place of strength. It's a place of
Mm-hmm.
knowledge. Um, I'll give you an example of here you were working in corporate America, and you're not pursuing your dream and your compass, and you're miserable. And so here you are in this vein after all the changes took place, and a van life. You don't know where you're going, and all of this, and you're happier there. And it is really interesting to hear your story. And I tell people that if you do what you love, it's not work. The That concept of burnout doesn't even exist in that space, because
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
not even something that you can comprehend when you're there, but you can comprehend burnout when you are working in the hospital system, because
Yes.
it
Yes.
manifested in your body, causing you all kinds of pain. And
Mm-hmm.
here you are living this life of the unknown, and yet
Mm-hmm.
there's tremendous amount of peace. What a privilege you have, Vivi, to be to have the time and the space to be by yourself. Western
Mm-hmm.
civilization are afraid of that, and here you are in a lifestyle that promotes that. Wow, what a beautiful thing to have, because a lot of people are afraid of that place.
Yeah, I realized that it helps me to overcome loneliness.
Yep.
Because I know that like in this pandemic right now, so many people, like during the lockdown, right, so many people got lonely, um, and that caused depression as well.
Yes.
So, but for me, the van life, it helps me to overcome that, and I actually enjoy being alone. I'm not an introvert, but I do really enjoy being alone, like having my own peace.
Yes.
Like, like when I was young in the US, I used to go party all the time. Like every weekend, I have to call on the friends. Okay, let's go parties, like get some drinks and go hang out. It's Gemini personality, but I'm like
Yeah.
a lot more tame now.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm like, I just enjoy my peace, and I just love being alone and just being in solitude. So that's how van life actually has started
Yeah.
to change me.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like during the lockdown, I don't get hit by the fear of loneliness.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I find that it's because of that, I find that it helps me to be a lot more authentic
Yeah.
in my relationship with other people.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not making friends. I'm not in a relationship because I feel lonely.
Mm-hmm.
Because I actually enjoy their companies.
Yeah.
I actually enjoyed conversation and talking with them,
Yes.
like spending
Yes.
time with them,
Mm-hmm.
So there's no need that I have to be clingy to someone.
Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So that's one aspect, and because it gets me to love nature a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
I was born in big city, like the biggest city in Vietnam. So most of my life, I was always in big cities. But this lifestyle has allowed me to be so in touch with nature. Like because I feel so much more peace. I'm like, sometimes like when I go to like big city, I can definitely feel the energy, the rushing and the hustle energy very much instantly. I can feel the stress very quickly. So I don't really enjoy staying in the city as much. But yeah, definitely it's one of the most undermined healing tools for us as human. And because of the pandemic, like we don't get to go out as much. And yes, I have a lot of privilege. I do really think like living this van life and have the freedom to travel around is actually a privilege for me.
Yeah.
Like over so many other people that don't have that luxury to have that much solitude. Like if you want to leave your house, you have to drive somewhere. You have to rent a place. Yeah, I can just drive anywhere and be anywhere I want today. So that's the beautiful part of van life that I really enjoy. However, it's not like there's no challenges. There are a lot of challenges. You know, there has to be the balance. Like there's a trade-off of both. So this van life has allowed me to be more flexible, learn more about myself. And when I get on the trip of going across Canada, opportunity did start to open up. And this is just synchronicity. It's nothing that I have planned. Like even like writing the book is nothing that was in my plan that I was envisioned. And what I learned about that is when you let go of all the things that actually hold you down, it's like you have to close one door. If I didn't close that door, like booking for that job, leaving my friends and relationships there in Vancouver, I wouldn't have these opportunities here. I wouldn't have my YouTube channel. I wouldn't have this book, and I wouldn't go on podcasts talking to many people and share my stories. Like none of that would happen if I stay in my comfort zone in Vancouver during the pandemic. And go back to the job that I was working. Well, I did enjoy it, but it wasn't for me. So my intuition was very loud. Like even though I did not know what was going to happen, but I kind of just followed that. And I was really amazed how like all the synchronicities that happened to lead me here and to be an author, and now talking about spirituality and spread the message about alchemy to so many people and open up the open up their mind about this ancient wisdom about alchemy. Now, so the way that I look at it is, you know, nobody really know what van life was actually about until it's actually got on YouTube and people started talking about it, and now it's such a trend, and so many people want to do it. So many want. The way that I see with alchemy is that not a lot of people knows about it, and there's a philosophy, there's the process there. However, it's very hard for people to picture what that process actually look like to go through the different stages. So unless someone have to demonstrate it, just like someone have to show, oh, this is actually what van life is about. So someone have to demonstrate what's it's like to go through the stages of alchemy, because this is what the world actually needs right now. That's my belief, because like you said, during this pandemic, it's pressure us to step up. Many spiritual leaders to step up, and people leave their job and to live a different life, to be more self-aware and self-reflect. And so that's the reason why this process of alchemy is what I see is one of the tools, the way that can help people with the self-reflection. And my job is to demonstrate that. Like what's it like to go through these stages and help people to overcome these challenges, because every stage there's a challenge. So I just see the demons that you were talking about, it's present in every stage, and that's the challenge that you have to go through in order to elevate your soul evolution.
Yes, I agree.
And because otherwise we're just gonna get stuck and we're gonna go back to the circle. We're gonna go around back to the circle. And so but it didn't just happen to me that I was going to write a book about alchemy. I was going to write a book about van life, because I have come across several people. Like I just sometimes people just come and ask me about my van life, and we just started a conversation, and it was like, do you have a book about it? Like, you have a YouTube channel.
Oh, wow.
And so last year, like by the end of last year, I decided I was going to write a book. And because I didn't know what to do with the book writing process. So I asked some people to help me, like, what's it like to write a book? And I had planned to do some coaching. I wanted to be a coach. So I asked them to help me draft a business plan with the coaching. And so a book was part of the plan, but it was going just like a small book about my van life, and the coaching was going to be around that van life. But like as I dig deeper and deeper, I was like, but what is it good for people? Like, why should people live in a van? Like like how is it going to change people's life? Well, it did change my life in one aspect, but I don't think it's gonna be for everyone. This lifestyle is really tough. It's not easy as it may seem on YouTube channel. Like a lot of things is not shown. I have been able to stick with it for almost 4 years because I determined to get to know my life purpose. So it's a lot of determination for me to get through it. But I was like, I don't know if this is for everyone, especially for people who enjoy the comfort of their homes and who love their family and want to be around them. I was like, how is it going to help them grow? So as I dig deeper in all of these questions in my personal life, I started to realize that it's a spiritual journey. And at that time, this is where synchronicity happened. This show called Mystery Teachings that was presented by Teresa Bullard. And she, I just kind of stumbled upon it through the ad, like Instagram ad, because I'm on Instagram all the time. I love photography. I post a lot of landscape photography there. So I stumbled upon the ads, and somehow it just catch my interest. I'm like, I want to know this, like something mysterious. I love anything mystery, and it's called the Mystery Teachings. So I'm like, what is it mysterious about it? Let me figure it out. So I checked out the show, and her last season was about tarot. And I was kind of curious learning about tarot. Then she went on to explain all the major arcana of tarots, that like if you travel along the major arcana on the mandala wheel, that is a hero journey. And that hero journey tie into the 7 stages of alchemy. And when I was watching the show, she explained different images on the tarot, the basically the hidden wisdom in the image, and the meaning of every card, the archetypal energy in every card, and how it plays out in your life. Then the light bulbs went on my head, and I realized, oh my gosh, like this is so relevant to me, like why everything happened to me in the US and why I travel up to here. That I was like, I was traveling on the mandala wheel, because everything that she described was like, this is my life.
This is your life.
I was like, she helped me to connect all the dots of my life. And I started to realize, yes, it has to happen in the US that way. That's what I'm here. And when I have that awareness, it was so easy for me to forgive everything that happened.
Yeah.
And I started to understand I had to be on that path, and I had to have that desire of freedom, to have freedom in my life, because this is the work that I need to do now to help people to get more freedom and peace within themselves, especially during this time in the pandemic.
Yeah.
And so I changed everything around the book.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this is a story that people need to hear, not about my van life anymore. Because this is the message that people need to hear about alchemy, understand the stages of alchemy, so that we'll be able to help them to reflect on their life, where they are and where they're heading.
Yeah.
Because it's so powerful to me when I got to understand the concept. I'm like, now I understand the 7 laws of the universe from Hermetic teachings. It tied everything together.
Yeah.
And why we have to go, why we need to clear the 7 chakras, and how that's also relate to alchemy as well. Because every stage of alchemy you go through a certain challenge that help you to clear out your thoughts, your negative beliefs, help you to face your fear.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you cleanse your chakra energy, so that it open the passage for the Kundalini rising. So it can open up, it can activate your pineal gland and open up that portal to the spiritual realm, which is the last stage of alchemy, in order to have access more information from heaven, and you bring it down to earth, so you can bring more service to the world.
Yes.
And so but alchemy is the journey that everyone has to go through, because it's all about transmutation and transformation. It's all about change, and the universe is all about change. Like, change is the only constant. We're ever expanding and growing.
Yes.
And so we all have to go through this process one way or another. You can call it however way you want, but in the ancient texts, they explain very well, explain each different stages and how it looks like for each different stage of alchemy, and the challenge that you're facing in each different stage. Now, because everyone has different karma, different energy, where they come from, and their indoctrination. So the journey that you're going through is very different. Even though the stages is the same, the process is the same, but you may learn different lessons. So the journey may look different for each individual. So that's the reason why I'm like, I need to share my story, to show people what it looks like. I can't tell them exactly what their journey actually looked like, but based on my story, they'll be able to reflect and to see where they are in the process and how they can go through the stages of alchemy.
Awesome. Where can they get your book? Because I'm going to direct everyone to get a copy of your book, Vivi, because it is holiday time. Guys, you listening? Make sure that you are getting these things as gifts and presents and all the different things, and hand them out so that we can support Vivi, and maybe you guys can learn from her the essence of what her life was and how it changed her in the process, and her understanding of alchemy and what it does. I want to thank you, Vivi, for coming, because you have given us so much. It is such a beautiful story. It encompasses everything, the changing of the mind, and how you came from a world that is actually stagnated into a world of life. And I thank you for coming here at Threads of Enlightenment and sharing it all with us. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me and allowed me to share this story and stress the message. So people can actually find my book on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
The first chapter is available for free on my website.
Okay.
It's called livingthroughalchemy.com. That's the website. The book is called Living Through Alchemy. That's the title. A Transformational Journey to Freedom.
Mm-hmm.
So it's now available on Amazon, but it's going to be available everywhere. At other bookstore as well, like Barnes and Noble and all that. But for now, Amazon is the primary place that people can go to get my book, either in ebook or hardcover or paperback.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much, Ken. It's my pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Everyone who's listening to this podcast. We hope to continually help you to learn how to embrace moments of darkness, because it is in the darkness that we learn how to develop and use our abilities to truly see those parts of ourselves, often invisible to us, in the light. It becomes your responsibility to navigate through all of your trials, to find out who you truly are and begin your journey to loving yourself, which is possibly one of the most difficult things you will ever do in your life. To love yourself and to find the real you, but always remember to enjoy the journey. Thank you for coming by. Please subscribe, and if you can support us financially, we deeply appreciate it. You can do this by hitting the heart button. Until next time, invite your family, friends, neighbors, anyone that you can. You can hear us on Buzzsprout, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Castbox, Overcast, and many more. Everyone who's listening to this podcast, we hope to continually help you to learn how to embrace moments of darkness, because it is in the darkness that we learn how to develop and use our abilities to truly see those parts of ourselves, often invisible to us, in the light. It becomes your responsibility to navigate through all of your trials, to find out who you truly are and begin your journey to loving yourself, which is possibly one of the most difficult things you will ever do in your life. To love yourself and to find the real you, but always remember to enjoy the journey. Thank you for coming by. Please subscribe, and if you can support us financially, we deeply appreciate it. Until next time, invite your family, friends, neighbors, anyone that you can. You can hear us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Castbox, Overcast.